some players get a whole that they get celebrated. So
Mm.
he's one player that he can still shine, but let's see how he will perform under their new coach
Mm.
at Sporting Lisbon. Because it seems maybe the marriage with Amorim that really worked out for him.
All right, all right. Talking about the GUARDIOLA'S, we see a lot of teams are, showing interest for the young. Do you see him leaving Sporting? Because it's like a lot of players, a lot of teams will be willing to pay bigger money than Sporting.
Of course, when you see a performing player like this, there's a buyout clause in it. So the buyout clause is still there.
Mm.
And there are not too many informed striker in the world of football
Yeah.
today. So I think the suitors will come in. Arsenal needs a striker. Chelsea needs a prolific striker.
Mm.
Man U that still needs a striker. No, Real Madrid doesn't have a proper number. There are teams that will be willing to drop the cash, and Sporting will be more than happy to cash in. It's going to be heavy pay for them. So it's football is first business before entertainment. In the transfer window, anything can.
All right, let's quickly go to Manchester United. We're during that international break. Ruben Amorim, arrived at Manchester United, and of course, started his first training with the team. And the expectation was high, and we heard him in the interview that he want to bring intensity into Manchester United squad. Looking at the players Manchester United have, do you think they have that kind of player who can play intense football?
Yeah, Manchester United has a whole lot of talent in there. The problem of Man U has not talent. They have talent in a, but the issue they have is they don't have a playing. They don't have a structure. They won't know how to fix the round square pegs in round square holes. So it's about what the way you want to play. So when we know the way Man U wants to play, then you can easily, the guys can. Who would have thought that the same guys Pochettino used and were struggling to really see Chelsea wants mostly same players Enzo Maresca is using, and at this stage of the season, we all mostly understand how Chelsea wants to play. So it's about the idea of the coach. Some players will be sold. The same way Enzo Maresca said, "Oh, guy cannot play my system." Yeah, but you won't say the whole team will not be able to do that. We can see that Man U is even, the rumors are out there that they are about to go into the transfer window for a left back. So those things will pop up. They will look at players that can actually fit into their way of playing football. But let's see. He said intensity. Maybe they want to start playing eyeline or something like that. But when we start seeing Man U play, then we will see what he wants to do on the field of play, because stock is cheap. Eric Ten Hag came and said the era's come to an end. But it's his own contract that has come to an end. Stock is cheap.
I wanted to talk about him because before he's coming, there was so much noise from the Manchester United fans. To those who know him before, what he has done in Ajax, the testimony of those great things he have done. But at the end of the day, to me, it was not an excellent ending. Ruud van Nistelrooy even did better to some extent because it was that short period of time. Yeah.
What happened to Man U under Van Nistelrooy's name? When a coach leaves, everybody wants to fight for a shirt. They know that the starting 11 are open. Now, see if the coach has.
When Ten Hag came to Manchester United, did they observe that bounce?
Started the season.
Started the season. That bounce was not there.
No.
They were still struggling.
When you want to talk about new manager bounce, it's mostly when you sack a coach this season. Now, the new manager bounce mainly has to do with players trying to get into the first 11 because there is a new manager. But if you see a coach that starts the season with the team, he will, by the time the league wants to start, he already has a starting 11. So it's not as if everybody is trying to break in. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. It is the difference. Eric Ten Hag started the season. Van Nistelrooy came up in between the season. For instance, when Ole was let go, Carrick came in and got some results. You draw against Chelsea. In fact, from even a worse performing Man U than what Eric Ten Hag was. So if you look at that, you look at the way they just responded, it doesn't make Carrick a better coach than. Um, if you look at it too, Solskjaer, when he came in, took the job I think from Moses. He also went straight. I think 9 games winning or whatever
Yeah.
it is. What ended it?
Okay, and another thing I want us to actually know, yeah, about Manchester United. We've seen so many coaches came, they struggle, and some of them will not. Some of them did not go with a very good name. They did not finish well. Let me not say they did not finish very well. Do you think the management have any effect in Manchester United? Has anything to do with why some of those coaches are not performing very well? The management.
Yeah, it can. It can because when there is no proper structure, structure is not just on the field of play.
Yeah.
You can see that when Radcliffe came in, brought a sport director, brought a C, brought guys that have experience that has been successful at what they've done before. That's where it started from. So those guys were the one that brought Amorim. It was not Radcliffe.
Okay.
Now, the same thing with Chelsea. It was not Baghdadi or Todd Boehly that decided to pick Enzo Maresca. It was those Mark Paul something, those guys, the
directors,
those guys that sat down because of their wealth of experience, analyzed this, they will run analysis, look at the way they play, what they want and not. Why they let go of Pochettino, that they've not seen that imprint fully. Chelsea was just like Tottenham then, remember? Cutting edge. But
they're here today, they're not
what
tomorrow.
Chelsea wanted was that Man City pattern that when you look at it, you can easily picture it that this is So that was why they went to Enzo Maresca. And after the West Ham game, we all heard him saw that interview that don't play the way I want you to play, you won't play. Just trying to paraphrase. So that's the essence of you knowing what you want from your players. So I think it starts from the guys that run the club, the guys, not the owner. The owner is different from the guys that run the club. So you know who to fire per time when somebody is not doing the job the way they should.
All right, you know who to fire per time. So let's quickly go to another incident that happened during the international break. Yeah, just recently, we had an extension of Pep Guardiola's contract in Manchester City after so many journalists have actually asked him whether he will be staying at Manchester City. I think he didn't give them a clear. He said until that time reached, and at last he signed a 2 years extension for Manchester City.
Years or 1 year?
From now to 2007. It's 2 years.
The thing is this. I think it's
we had it was 1 year before with an option to extend. But at the end of the day, I got the information that it was 2 years.
Let's see.
Sky Sports.
But over time, we'll get to see details of the contract. By that time, we will know because what was out mainly was that a year plus
option to extend 12-month extension, yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why it stayed is that Man City now is now going to that transition period. And one thing about transition period is there's no time calendar. So you need to have somebody that knows what they want. So now, if you transit, that is one of the things that killed Man U. It was the end of an era that Ferguson left. Had it been Ferguson has started the foundation for a new era, Man U might not stay this long that they've not won the Premier League. That's what I think Man City wants to avoid. They don't want somebody new in the Premier League now overseeing a transition. It makes it more difficult.
But somebody who knows it.
Yes, who knows who to, he knows, okay, who do I need to, okay, Bruno, you come here, now get new 23 or 25. Then when you get it, then you can get a tactical coach that can just replace go in peace. And you know that you leave the house, the same way club left the house in order.
No. I think Klopp did a very beautiful job. He handed over very well to the right person.
But
Yeah.
I think Klopp was smarter than Pep. I think it was Champions League that kept Pep this long.
Yeah, so we need
Because when I think De Bruyne started getting into strength, that was when he could have left. So the new coach will still see them in their prime, end with them. He will now understand what it feels like. Then you really understand, easily understand who to feel it. Now, and a slot towards the end of Salah. Now, Salah is aging, Van Dijk, but they can still give him. So in between that 2-3 seasons, when he's not dumb coach, he can easily say, "Oh, the role this guy plays, somebody can do this." So when that one younger player comes up, just like seeing it easily, so it makes the transition very, very easy. Look at, and a good example is Real Madrid. Look at how they have been transiting since Mourinho.
Yeah.
Benzema has come and gone. Ronaldo has come and gone, and they are still Champions League.
Okay, now, talking about the Manchester City transition, do you see some of those players leaving?
Of course, De Bruyne cannot play in the Premier League till 40, in his early 30s. Rodri is approaching around 30.
I think maybe have like 2 seasons more because with all this injury.
Yeah, ACL can happen to anybody. And even De Bruyne had almost a full that he was in and out injured. So I think that they need to do that. Ederson too. Goalkeeper will leave, and some of these marquee guys too. Gundogan last legs, Bernardo Silva close to last legs, and all those guys. So you find a way to replace them or to. But one mistake, but I think Guardiola didn't really, you can't really blame him.
No, it's like it was not having the intention to extend the contract before.
No. See,
it's like at the point now, because they were asking him, is it because of the 4 consecutive losses? He said maybe.
Must have.
You understand? He said maybe. You understand? Because
have,
he don't want to live in a very bad note.
Not even bad note. This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think that he wants to oversee that transition period. Man City is currently approaching transition period, and it's very clear because many of their best legs, some have left. Now the issue they had was some guys decided to leave, like Alvarez, and the threshold they have of in the midfield, they are aging already. Rodri's injury, you can't absorb it from age too. There's a certain age that you can play a lot of games. When you get to a certain age, you start reducing. So when you look at all these things together, you see that I think Guardiola wants to put the house in order, not to leave the team when they are about to go into transfer, but to leave the team when they are stable. Because
from the interview also, he says about the feelings that he don't feel that this is the right moment for him to leave.
Yeah, it's not.
Yes, it's about the feeling, because he said he don't feel like this is the right moment, that he's still needed, and he loved the club so much, and the club also, they love him, they show him that respect so much, and he said it's about the feeling.
They give him what he wants, so you just have to live, just like a workplace whereby they give you everything, the kind of life you want, they give, and you say you will not love that workplace.
All right. Let's quickly go back to the African Cup of Nations qualifier. At the end of the day, I think it is done and dusted. The names of the countries that qualify for the African Cup of Nations, 24 countries, is already known. So we have Algeria, Angola, Benin, Botswana, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Comoros, DR Congo, Egypt, Equatorial Guinea, Gabon, Ivory Coast, Nigeria, Mali, Morocco, that is the host, Mozambique, Senegal, South Africa, Sudan, Tanzania, Tunisia, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Which of these countries surprised you to qualify?
Just Sudan.
Yeah, Sudan. All right. What about Comoros?
Comoros,
Botswana.
When you look at the way Sudan qualified, really in a group that has Ghana, so you have to give.
And again, they are one of the Ghana former coach was the coach of Sudan.
Yeah, they won this. Really
Mm.
showed them that it's not about his fault, it's
Mhm.
about the talent of another national team. I think at the end of the day, they will just have to see how far they can go
So okay, out
in
of this
the
Connection Cup, okay,
nations.
out of these countries that have qualified for the African Cup of Nations, which country during the qualifier, maybe just mention some of them that you've seen that actually gave good account of themselves, and you feel they're going to get up to the quarter-final or semi-final of the African Cup of Nations.
I think it's just the regular names, the regular big guns. Nigeria, Ivory
Where was
Coast.
South Africa? There, South Africa doing very well this time around.
South Africa is just a early country now. They were
Mm.
almost there. They are not there yet because even many of these players that are taking them almost there, those players are aging.
Mm.
So I don't see them really, really doing something spectacular like winning Afcon. It will only be nearly,
Mm.
not really. Uh, um, I don't think. So it is so good, sha. I think the big ones will.
All right, let me just let's just quickly look at it. Benin qualified. After they were in Nigerian group. Gennett Roy, former Nigerian coach, doing well for Benin.
Yeah, he knows how to qualify. You can't take that from him. He knows how to qualify for what he does in the another entirely. One thing I don't like about his tenure at the Super Eagles was that Nigeria didn't have a visa to play football. You had the 5 years. 1 year is okay. 5 years is a lot that you even have a proper way on to play. I think that doing well for Benin for them. Let's see how we perform at AFCON.
All right, all right. Let's see how you perform at Afcon next year. Morocco will be hosting it, and we've seen Morocco hosting most of the African tournament, even the ongoing Women Champions League. They hosted, and they will be hosting the female Afcon too, and they are hosting the men African Cup of Nations
They
qualifier.
have facility. One of those few countries in Africa that you don't need to give them advance call before they host
It's already
competition.
already available.
The structure is there. Get the host right. That's why they could phantom the energy, go and bid for the have the
All
facility.
right, talking about the last World African Cup of Nations, we saw Cote d'Ivoire, one of the best African Cup of Nations they hosted. The number of viewers all over the world, more than 2 billion. That's what I'm saying. And it was one of the even the sponsorship was also high in the one Cote d'Ivoire hosted. The officiating was excellent. It was a talk of the town. The playing quality to some extent was also good. Do you see Morocco going past what Cote d'Ivoire did?
I think it will be way, way, way.
Way better.
Whatever Cote d'Ivoire had, you can't compare with one. They have very good facility. Can't compare. What class facility? Can't compare. No, no.
Wow, wow. So we should be expecting a more better explosive tournament
Yeah.
than what we saw in Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we'll be expecting a mind blowing.
All right, you can hear that we'll be expecting the mind blowing. And again, we quickly look at some of those nations that top nation that did not qualify for the African Cup of Nations. We talk about Ghana as number 1 on the list.
Yeah. In transition, Ghana won. They've won the Nations League, I think 4 5 times.
4 times.
Yeah, so I think they'll be back. There was a time the Super Eagles busted out of the Afcon. They will just go put their house in order, come back, and be better.
All right, we are having Doki in the studio. Sorry, we are having Doki in the studio right now. Doki, you are welcome. How do you do?
Good evening, and thank you for having me. Good evening, Yemi, and viewers. It's lovely to be here. It's always an experience. something we look forward to. And tonight, I'm so glad I could make it in spite of all the traffic challenges on the road. And I'm so glad to be with you as we dissect some of these topics tonight.
All right, you're welcome. We're just talking about the African Cup of Nations, nations that have qualified. We've seen them, 24 of them, and I've actually asked Yamite which of those countries that actually surprised him the most that qualified for the African Cup of Nations. Do you have any country that actually surprised you that qualified for the African Cup of Nations?
Well, if you look at the list, you're going to see Algeria, Angola, Benin, Burkina Faso, Botswana. What's Botswana doing? Botswana is a challenge. Botswana is not a known footballing nation. We haven't had them come up in the ranks of the African Cup of Nations recently. And for Botswana to qualify, some big wigs will have been disqualified and they will have been let off. And apart from Botswana in the list, I think the only other country that may surprise you is
Comoros.
Comoros Island. Comoros Island is a big surprise to be there too, but I think that's going to be based on the kind of placement they had. They must have had a good placement in their league fixture for them to go through. And Tanzania is here too. Back in the days, in the 80s, Tanzania used to be a great footballing nation. In the 70s. In fact, Tanzania was one of those that were leading the African continent at the time, football. But they melted away late 80s and early 90s, and you didn't hear anything of Tanzania again. So it's good to see them again feature at the top level in African competition. So apart from Tanzania and those Comoros Island and then Botswana, well, I think most of them are basically South American or Eastern American nations. And Comoros is a very small island, possibly with a population of less than 500,000 people.
Wow.
Yeah, very, very likely less than 500,000, maybe like 200,000.
Not up to a million.
They're not up to 500,000
wow.
in population. And that's similar to what we have in what are they called again? Excuse me. No, there's a small island.
Cape Verde.
There's an island very close to
South Africa.
Yes, call it one of the richest countries in Africa. Seychelles. It's an island of 178,000 people, and Comoros is not bigger than. So those kind of nations come up. It's just like when Iceland got to the semi-finals of Euro. About 2 or 3 Euros away, 2016 or so, when Portugal eventually won final. Iceland, a country with a population of less than 300,000 people. And of that populace, they don't even have a professional league. So you actually had fishermen, career people who go to work and come back later in the day to play soccer. And then they play league, they play like our kind of football here, all stars kind of football, non-professional league. And they put themselves together, got a good coach, and they made it to the semi-finals of Euro. And it was amazing that year. They were defeating big nations, 1-0, 2-1, and they got themselves into the semi-final in 2016. And so we can see some surprise coming in here too. If some of these quote-unquote low-rated clubs or low-rated nations get their way into the Nations Cup and become offsets, they can become offset to the bigger ones. But by and large, these are the normal attenders. These are the regular fixtures we see, and know that they will come again. South Africa will come again. Senegal will be there to fight, and we know Senegal can actually presently the holders before the last Nations Cup that Cote d'Ivoire won in Nigeria. Senegal is still very strong, still among the top 3 in Africa rating. Cote d'Ivoire is also still strong, pretty strong, and Nigeria is up and coming. Nigeria is about 6th or 7th in the African rating and about 41 in the world rating. I think they just moved to number 36 in world rating. But the question I want to, before you raise a question, is Nigeria really improving our international performance? Are we really improving? The fact that we're qualified for Nations Cup, and I think that was a lot of credit to Libya that gave us 3 points for free. Because if those 3 points hadn't come for free, we would have been battling right now with permutations and calculations against Benin Republic. Benin Republic.
All right, we'll come to that when we want to review the match between Nigeria versus Benin. So right now, let's look at the top 3 countries that will not make it to the African Cup of Nations, and Ghana, Guinea, and which other country? Yeah, getting Ghana, Guinea, some of the top ones, and we also look at the ordeal of Libya, because a lot of stories surrounding Libya at this point in time. But so first of all, let us start with Ghana. Let's start with Ghana. What do you think actually went wrong with Ghana?
Yeah, I think it's just they underestimated the transition they are experiencing. They felt it shop changing instead of going back to the. I think with their failure in this qualification, I think reality will now dawn on them. I think most likely they'll be back in.
All right, talking about the Ghana side, with the big names we have in Ghana, like Mahmoud Kudus and the likes.
That you have big names doesn't mean.
Nigeria
Nigeria had Mikel Obi then. We had some other big names. I think in the available. And Nigeria didn't get that Afcon. It can happen. One tree doesn't make a forest. You just have to build. It's a thing to have talent. It's a thing to play as a unit and to have key positions in that team. Thomas Partey, they can't shoulder the team. Actually, the two are injured, so they are not always available. So when you look at a setting like that, you have to be a flexible and your national team. This time too shall pass for come back and be.
Yeah, and I think Ghana actually performed better rated. It's like Nigeria has been doing. They were better rated. Likes of in the have Thomas Partey somewhere here. You have Simpson. You have a lot of players. Lamptey who play in Europe.
Yeah, who play in Brighton.
At least not maybe flight, but they play in second flight in Europe. Most of them. And about 6 of them play in top flight in Europe. We expect them to more decisive outcome of such 6-legged tournament. It's a large opportunity to make an error in one match, put yourself back in the next match, and then adjust for the next match. 6 matches.
I think if you look at it, where you understand that it is transition, they have started had an all.
Yeah.
Came to the
Had the awful.
now qualifier. So it's like it's like when you put off the fan, just stop. It won't just stop. It will start, going down till it stops. I think that's
what you
is
see
wrong with
is a
Ghana.
downward trend. Yes,
Yeah.
no problem with that. We're saying that they are performing to expectation, considering the array of stars as they have.
What I'm thinking right now, don't you think Ghana is towing the line of Nigeria, getting big names from foreign clubs, and you don't use of domestic players from the domestic? This don't you think is a problem? Or I don't.
This topic, you see, topic is really not. Why? Because you as a footballer have a talent. A country is calling you that will pay you 100,000, and your country is the next go. That is why the best talents are outside sometimes. Because even the ones that is coming up, those same clubs are around to pick them up because they have buying power. Your best legs, most times, if your league is not really, be outside. Okay, now best legs of the English national team, where are they? Are they not in their country?
Yeah, in the country.
because their league is blossoming. Check Spain, check Italy. That's how it works. If you don't have a league that is well financed, properly arranged, set up is good. Okay, now let's go to South Africa. Their best legs, where are they playing? Is it
They
not
play
in South
domestic,
Africa?
yeah, very in South Africa.
Egypt, most of their best legs. Is it not in Egypt? Because they have a functioning league that is working well. See, this thing starts from home. No, it is what you build at home. Yoruba will say, "Àṣesílẹ̀ làbọ̀, meaning it is what you put down, you will come back to me. So, if you build a proper structure, build a league, you have talent, you will have the financial power to keep them. And so that's just
Yeah. So in addition to that, what we have right now happening in Nigeria, you said toeing the line of Nigeria. Yes, they will have to toe the line of Nigeria, just like other sub nations who have underdeveloped leagues, and they don't have the capacity to hold this youth on their own soil. There was a time Nigeria used to play 100% home base, and that started changing around the 84-85 when we had to bring in Bashanu, okay, Sima, and then one or two other players from the abroad. But the likes of Stephen Keshi, Egon Degbami, Ulabi, they were all here in the local leagues. But that was the time our leagues were always fully booked. In fact, get to the stadium to try and pick a ticket that day, you won't get any, you won't be able to enter. You must have purchased your ticket a day or two before or the week before. Back then, you know. So that was a time our league was really flourishing and prosperous. Track down to the 90s, the era when Stephen Keshi and the likes of them discovered Europe. I use that word, discovered Europe, in quotes. And then the dollar to naira difference started emerging. So you could go and play in Europe and earn about 2,000 US dollars.
Wow.
While you can be playing in Nigeria and be earning 20,000 naira. The dollar to naira was possibly 30 naira or 40 naira. So you earn more money in Europe, plus it's you better out there. The environment for training was more conducive. And the league was super encouraged. And at that time, Nigerian attention to league winning out. That was the era the likes of DSTV and live televisions came aboard and started showing live matches. It wasn't DSTV then, it was multi-choice also, yeah, but not DSTV then.
I think it's multi-choice that have the STV.
Yes, but it was multi-choice then, and then they started showing us live matches. So you go watch Europe from your home live, and why go to the stadium to go and watch Leventis, which was already dying, or Calabar Rovers, and as the case was. So as the times moved on, our leagues became less important and less prosperous. So, like Yemi said, the best legs moved, and they poached them. They moved out, and then the weaker ones here are waiting to be poached too. In fact, they are positioning themselves to be taken. So, Ghana toying the line of Nigeria using foreign players. It's not about that. If we have the very good legs here, the moment they become good enough and they show up at international tournaments, they poach them and they're gone. So it's still going to remain like that until we beef up our own local leagues.
All right, you can hear that from Doki himself. So let's quickly go to, let's look at let's review some of those matches played. We are just going to just look at 3 matches, and that is the CAF Women Champions League, where Edo Queen lost out to TP Mezambe in the semi-final, and then they just played the 3rd position, and again they lost to Massa of Egypt 1-0 after a penalty shootout. Did they give good account of the Nigerian women leagues?
You know, we had a lot of expect, especially after their first match. Before they played the first match, we analyzed them here too. I think about 2 weeks ago, when they wanted to go for the tournament, the spirit was weak. They got there and they performed very well in the first match, but by the second match, they started out. It was like fatigue, like they were tiring out or discouraged. There could be several factors. They could get out there and become demotivated. Why? They were possibly promised and weren't paid what. I'm only saying hypothetically. I don't know. They were possibly seeing what others were getting and compared to what they were going to get, which they were possibly not getting. The kind of environment they gave them, or the kind of treatment they received from their own promoters, might not have been comparable to those ones. Those things demotivate players. So when you get to such height, and you see the way others are pampered, and you see the way you guys are, and then you talk to one or two of them, you speak English, and they'll be like, how much? Like $1,500 per. What? $1,500? I paid only $500 per night. And be like, what? We're killing ourselves here. You know, those things could happen. That's one.